Hello everybody, I would like to show you what to do if your opponent tries to go for this anti-fried liver setup and they play these pawn pushes, namely this h6 is known to be some kind of, anti-fried liver setup for black, and I find it kind of annoying when they play this against me. So I've done a little bit of research on a Lichess database and I found some lines where they are likely to go wrong. So, for example, right away there is a funny trick that you could try, which I don't really recommend, and that is to play d4. They are likely to capture this pawn, and you can immediately sacrifice another pawn with c3, and after they capture, you can sacrifice your bishop on f7. This is just going to be funny. They are going to capture your bishop. You can give this knight to e5 check. They cannot take the knight because of this spin. And if they decide to go back, then this is a checkmate in few moves, which would look like this. But the problem is that they don't have to go back with the king and they can go forward instead. And in this case, you would be actually having a worse position. So that's why I don't really recommend this, but you could try this on the Lichess database. It is clear that most of the players are going to go back with the king and get checkmated. But this is not really what I wanted to show you. I wanted to share some, responsible lines. So here, I recommend the move simply short castles. In this position, the most played move is knight to f6, and then the secondary move is bishop to g4, and then there is also the third move, knight to c6. So let me show you these moves, what to do when they play this. Let's start with knight to c6, which is the least, common. Against this, I'm going to suggest that you push d4. They are likely to capture, and actually, after you capture with the knight, they are also likely to capture this knight, which is a little mistake, because after this, we are getting kind of a cool position. We have really strong development. They developed 0 of their pieces, and they usually play knight to f6 here, which happens to be another mistake, because we can now push e5. They are likely to take our pawn, and here we are going to capture with the bishop on f7 with the check. They cannot really capture our bishop because their queen would be hanging, so they need to play king to e7, and here after queen to c4, we just enjoy this position. We are castled, we have an attack going on, and their king is exposed in the middle of the board. So I would really like this position for white. Let's go back and let's see the other move, which was bishop to g4. So if they go bishop to g4, which is the second most popular move in this position, here I also recommend to push d4. They are likely to capture our pawn, and here we can push the c3. They are once again likely to capture our pawn, which is a mistake, and after this we can play queen to b3, and we have a threat of capturing on f7, and also we are aiming at this b7 pawn. At this position, they are already losing, but some of the players, tend to lose the game right away with bishop captures on f3. They are like, let me just damage your pawn structure first and then let me take care of your attack. But this just leads to a checkmate after bishop takes on f7, king to e7, and queen to e6 checkmate. So that's why they cannot do that, but usually they will find the best move, which is to bring the bishop back to e6. Let me just show you. If they would try to cover the f7 square with their queen and they would go queen to d7, we can always just go ahead and capture this pawn, and we will be also, capturing this rook, and it will be just so much better for white. So that's why they need to go back with the bishop, and after this trade, it looks tempting to just capture this pawn with the check, but it's much stronger to go knight to d4 in this position, because now we are, still threatening the pawn, and there is actually no good way for black to hold on to that pawn. If they try to, save it with their queen, we are always able to capture with our queen on b7, and if they try to push the pawn in order to save it, here we can just jump forward with our knight, hitting the queen, and after something like queen to c8, yeah, this is just winning for white. We are castled, we are more developed, and although we are some pawns down, we just are crushing black here. Let me go back and let's talk about the most common move, and that is knight to f6. Once again, we are going to push the d4, and they are very likely to capture our pawn, and after this we are simply going to push e5. After this, usually most of the players make a mistake of capturing also this pawn, but after knight recaptures, there is a unstoppable threat of capturing on f7. So what they tend to do, well, I mean unstoppable, they can stop it with this move, but this is just getting worse for them, because we are going to capture this bishop, and after they recapture, queen to d3 is the correct move in this position, and soon we'll be winning this rook or this bishop, no matter what black does. So what they are trying in this position is usually to go queen to e7, and then we can give this check. After the king moves, there is this fork, and we are simply winning the rook. Or if they play this other move, queen to d5, then we can give this check. They can kind of run in this direction, but after this check they need to go here, and after that we are going to go knight to g6, hitting the rook, and if they try to save it, now we can simply capture this bishop and we are up a piece and crushing black. So this is pretty much it for these traps, guys. Thanks for watching, take care, and bye.